Welcome back to Let's Talk It Out with Miss Olmos. I'm so excited for you to be back for another episode. Every day is a great opportunity to get to know more of those around us. Today's special guest is currently a pre-K teacher. She has several years of experience, has been Spearman ISD Teacher of the Year, and was even a finalist at Region 16. I'm so thrilled for you to be here and get to know more about her. Let's give Ms. Chelsea Vanderberg a warm welcome. Hi, Miss B. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy that you're here. I want to say thank you because it's such a busy time of the year. And for you to take the time to be here with me, thank you so much. I know you have a lot on your list.
I'm glad to be here.
I want you to be comfortable. I want it to be a good time. I want it just to be two of us talking, mainly getting to know more about you. I'm so excited for our listeners to learn more about you. Are you ready to start?
I'm ready to go.
All right, here we go. I don't think I've ever told you this before, and if I have, you'll hear it a second time. But before I met you, I saw a picture of you because when I worked in college, I worked at what was called Hansford Implement at the time.
Right.
And now I think it's Green Country, the John Deere. And Clancy was a salesman there.
Yes.
And he had pictures of you on just everywhere, really, in the office. And I remember thinking, like, wow, she's so pretty. You were at a beach, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's pretty. And I don't think I've ever even seen you before or anything. And the reason I would see them is I would help clean. So yeah, that's how I knew about you, but I didn't know. And then I didn't have any idea that one day we'd be working together.
Well, here we are.
Yeah, here we
Because
are.
I didn't know you at that time either. I think I met you one time, maybe it might have been a Christmas party, maybe. That was when we first moved here. We hadn't been here very long.
That would make sense. I would have seen you at a Christmas party.
But it was so long ago.
It was really long ago. I mean, I want to say it was 2000. Oh gosh, I shouldn't have.
We moved here in 2010.
It had to have been.
It had to have been around then.
Yeah, it had to have been just around that time. But that would make sense because. So were y'all at the Christmas party in Amarillo? I don't know. Mike did the best Christmas parties.
He did.
There's one in Amarillo and there's one in Dumas.
I remember the Dumas one.
Okay.
I don't know if I remember Amarillo. I remember the Dumas one for sure because I used to have a Bath and Body Works.
I don't remember meeting you there. I just remember the picture of you. But down the road, here we are working together. But really, we've been working together for a while, and I still feel like there's so much about you that I don't know. So I'm so excited to be asking you these questions. We'll start plain and simple. Just the basics. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Lubbock.
Okay.
And before I was 5, grew up kind of in the Midland area. And then when it was right before I turned 5, I think, around that time we moved to a town called La Mesa, which is about an hour south of Lubbock. And that's where I graduated and went to school.
Okay, cool. La Mesa. I don't know if I've ever been. Heard, but I don't know that I've ever been. Is it small?
It's about Perryton size.
Oh.
Not huge. Bigger than Spearman, but it's still small.
Pretty cool. I've heard you talk about a sister.
I have 2.
2 sisters, okay.
I have 2. I actually have a stepsister on one side, and then a stepbrother and sister on the other side, and then I have 2 sisters. An older one, my older sister lives in Weatherford, and she's 13 months older than me. And then my younger sister is about 8 years younger than me, and she lives in Georgetown.
Do you get to see them often?
My older sister, since she's in Weatherford, it's not too far, so we get to go there more. Since my mom moved, she's in the Huntsville area. My sister's in Austin. I don't see them as much because it's so far. It's hard to get there unless it's summertime. But we try.
Where would you say is like the come together place?
Usually Weatherford, Fort Worth. That's just the easiest. It's about 5 to 6 hours for us and only 3 for them. But to see my mom, it's about 9.5 hours, and it's about 9 hours to my little sister. So that's the best meeting point. And Spearman's not really on the way. So I just meet them halfway the other way. So.
Oh, cool. I didn't know. I know you talked about a sister. You had a sister who recently had a baby, but I didn't know how many siblings really you had. Where did you go to college?
I went to West Texas A&M. I did take one semester. I went my first semester to WT, and then my second semester I went to Tarleton, and I hated it. So I came back to WT. My parents weren't real happy with me, but they let me come back, and that's where I finished.
You haven't talked to me about this much, and please only share what you're comfortable with, but have you lost your dad?
Yes. When I was a senior in college, he passed away. So I was 20. I was about to turn 21. So when I was 20, he passed away.
Did you live in Spearman already then? No?
No, I was in college. So I was at WT, and they still lived in La Mesa, and my little sister was still in high school at that time. And then my older sister at that time was going to Tarleton. So we were both in college.
Was it unexpectedly? Was he sick? Unexpected, sorry? Was he sick?
No, he actually, I went home. I left for college the Monday after I graduated, and really never went back unless it was a holiday. And my little sister had a volleyball game, and she had a game to cheer at, and I'd never been home to see her. And that weekend was definitely a God thing. I regret that I did not go home as much as I should have, but that weekend I went home, and him and my mom both worked in Snyder, and my little sister had the volleyball game, was getting ready for that, and he just went to work, and it was very sudden and unexpected, and I just happened to be there, but was where I needed to be, because when it happened, nobody was home and nobody was prepared for it. So I got to be there with my little sister until my mom could get home and they could get everything kind of sorted out. So it was definitely not expected.
What a hard experience. It was a super hard experience.
It was. But
I know he's so proud of you.
Oh, he was a great man, for sure. I miss him a lot.
What do you remember most about him?
He was very to himself. He was very, very private. And he was very much about staying in your own lane, minding your own business, worrying about your own family. I'm a lot that way. But he was very funny, like very dry sense of humor, things that most people don't laugh at. I don't know, have you ever seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite?
Yes.
So I have that personality too. We would watch it, and most people were like, this is the dumbest movie. Like, what? And we would just watch it on repeat and just laugh and laugh. But he was just so sensitive, or like not sensitive. He was so like dry, and you never knew what he was thinking, but then something like that would make him crack up, and he would snort when he laughed, which was really funny. But he was a hard worker and a great dad, and he actually is not my biological dad, but he's the dad who raised me, and he would have done anything for me, and I couldn't have asked for a better dad. He was great. He was kind. My mom did not like animals at the time, but he couldn't turn away a stray. We had all these strays in our backyard. It was so embarrassing. But he worked in the oil field, so he would find a dog and he couldn't leave it. So he'd bring these dogs home. Or we went to church in a little town where his parents lived, and he found hitchhikers on the way. So he brought them to church with him. He just was he had a big heart, and he loved everybody, and he was big. He was 6'6". So when people saw, he was very like tall and stout and very intimidating, but he was like a teddy bear.
What a special part of your story.
I know. He was pretty special.
Thank you for talking about him and sharing him with us. And I know that he really is so proud of you. You told us about college. You went to WT, Tarleton, back to WT. When you were in college, did you always know you wanted to be a teacher? Did day one, like ever since you went to college, was that the goal?
No, I changed my major a ton. In fact, my degree is general studies because I changed so much. Initially, every career test I did, everyone I asked, everything pointed me in the direction of nursing. And so I had thought I would go, at the time, I was in a high school nursing class, and Texas Tech offered a program where you could go to their nursing program and they would pay for your school as long as you promised to stay in Lubbock those first few years. So I was kind of leaning towards that. But at the same time, I didn't want to be that close to home. And so from La Mesa, most people either went to South Plains, Tech, Odessa, Midland. So I just wanted to branch out a little bit further, which for me, WT was a good distance. And so I kept the nursing idea, but it didn't last very long. So I probably changed. I started out nursing at WT. I didn't even make it to nursing classes. And so I changed it, and then I had like an early midlife crisis and called my mom and told her I was going to quit school, that I wanted to be a hairdresser. And my mom was like, hair grosses you out. And I was like, good point. So that didn't work. And she said, you're not dropping out. And then I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I took all of my basics and got into mass comm and journalism. I love writing, and at that time, newspapers were still a thing. So I liked writing for the idea of writing for newspapers at Tarleton. I took a newspaper writing class and did really well, loved it. And then I kind of went from that into like a journalism marketing class. I loved that and really thought that that's what I would be doing. Still not teaching. Most everyone on my family is either a hairdresser or a teacher. So it's just not what I thought I wanted to do. And so I had gotten the majority of my hours were mass comm. And during that time, I started working at an after-school program called CASP in Canyon. And there was this one little boy, and he's just terrible. But I loved him so much. He was ornery and he was hard to deal with, but I just fell in love with him, and I loved working with him, and I loved talking to him. And then I started thinking, well, maybe I want to be a teacher. So once again, I called my mom, and she's ready to pull her hair out. And she's like, you've never wanted to be a teacher, and I want you to be a teacher if you want to be a teacher, but you never want to, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to change my major like today. And my mom's like, hold on. And so she got in the car and came, and we were able to plug all of my mass comm hours into general studies. And then I was able to catch the core teaching classes and take my tests. And so it was last minute, but I did eventually decide to be a teacher. It took me a while to come to that conclusion.
I love those stories because we always think we know what we're going to do. And God's like, yeah, well, never mind. You're going to come this way.
Well, so when I started the mass comm, I wanted to be a newscaster or sportscaster. And in the classes, you have to stand up and speak in front of people, and you have to speak in certain ways, and you're supposed to hold your hands a certain way. And I just hated it. And my accent is thicker. And so I was constantly having to try to say things more clearly or slow down how I talk, because I talk so fast. And then getting in front of people is petrifying to me, so that it didn't take long. And I was like, well, that's okay. I don't have to be in front of people, but I can write it. And but yet now I'm teaching.
Now you're teaching. How many years later?
This is my 16th, I think.
16 years.
Doesn't seem that long, but
it goes by fast. That's awesome. What would you say is the most challenging part about being a teacher? I don't know if you can sum that up, but what would you say?
I think they all need so much, so it's hard. I try to give every student what they need, but some need so much more than others. So it's hard to make sure that everybody gets their time or what they need. And either one student is getting so much of my time and attention that I feel that the others are being left out, or I feel like I try to give those students and then the other ones start falling behind. So I think just balancing, trying to give each student what they need, or if something's not working, trying to find something that works for them. And sometimes I can find something and that makes me feel really good, but then there's sometimes when I try everything and I get frustrated because I feel like I failed when I can't find that one thing that they need, because they all have that one thing. So I think just trying to meet all of the different needs that our
I
kids
can
have.
say that I see it firsthand. I've seen it as a parent. I've seen it as a coworker. You are so dedicated in that you look at each of your students and exactly what you're saying. Like, you want to meet each of their needs, and you really do. You're so hard on yourself, but you are. There's a reason that you are a finalist. What is the best part of your career?
The best part, it's not hard. There's just a lot of good. So I'm trying to think of what I would say the best. I mean, kids. I mean, it is the best part. It doesn't matter what they come from. It doesn't matter what their home life is, how great or how bad. When they come, they all come the same way. They're still just kids. They still like to be told that they have fast shoes or that they look nice or how smart they are, and it doesn't matter. Like, when they come, they have no agendas, or they're just kids.
They're just kids.
They
and
just
they
want to be
love
loved.
you no matter what. And
The little ones.
yeah, like they just, oh yeah, they just make life. So I feel like they keep me grounded so many times throughout the day. They just keep me so grounded. Let's talk about Mr. Clancy. How did you meet?
Oh man. So I knew his brother, Clayton, in college. We were really good friends. And actually, I was dating someone else, and I think this was so after my dad passed away, and it was before I was taking my teacher test. It's been so long, I can't remember where it was, but in the in-between, I had moved back to Lubbock, and I had gone to Canton for a weekend, and I was so frustrated with my friends because they wanted to come to Spearman to a pool party, and it was at the Vanderberg's house, and I was so mad because I did not want to go to Spearman. I never heard of it. They were like, it's an hour and a half drive. I was like, we can do other things in an hour and a half. But Clayton really wanted us to come. My friends really wanted to go. So went to Canyon. We came to Spearman. And at that time, me and Clayton were good friends. I knew who Britta was, and I knew who Cleet was. But then all of a sudden, Clancy comes out, and then their other brother, Brandon, came out. I was like, oh my gosh, how many? And they all look alike. So I was like, how many of these people are there? And so we actually did not start dating that night. But it's funny because there was a picture. They had a diving board, and we would jump and catch the ball and try to make it in this mini hoop. And it's a game like we still play. But there's a picture, and we're standing right next to each other waiting in line for the diving board. And we have it now, and it's so funny because we both were seeing different people at that time. And it wasn't much later that I was back in Lubbock, and Clayton had moved to Lubbock, and they were having a Super Bowl party. And I had gone with a friend, wasn't going to go because it was last minute. And he was like, no, you got to come. So wound up going. and Clancy was there. So we had kind of remembered each other from the pool party. So we talked about that and hung out. But we didn't start talking then. So then we go home. Well, it was probably not even a week later. And it was my ex-boyfriend at the time. We had gone to this restaurant or sports bar, I guess, called Cujo's. And we'd go eat pizza and stuff there. So we went and there was a big table up. I can't remember how many of us. There were tons, like a ton of us at this huge table. I was not sitting by Clancy, and my ex-boyfriend walked in, and it was really awkward. And I don't know why I did it, but I think I was so uncomfortable that I got up, and there was an open chair by Clancy, so I moved by him, and I turned, and I just said, "Hey, I know this is really awkward, but my ex-boyfriend's here, and I just need somebody to talk to me until he leaves or goes somewhere else." And so he talked to me, and then that night he asked Clayton for my number, and then we started dating, and yeah.
2 kids later?
Two kids later, yep.
That sounds like a movie. Like, that could be a movie clip of you just coming up and saying, "Hey."
It would have been a terrible movie,
No.
but
that would have been a good romantic part of the movie. So, you have 2 boys. How do you describe mom life of 2 boys?
I always wanted boys, and I'm very glad that I have boys. But my mom always says, "Hey, you asked for boys. You always wanted boys." I love them, but they're busy, and they are what everybody tells me boys are. And I'm from girls, raised with girls, and so it's very different. We grew up and we like to go shopping and we like to get our new clothes and do fashion shows, or I did, and I liked the makeup and all of the things. And they don't like shopping and they don't like trying on clothes, and they like to crawl and get dirty and make body noises and all of the things. So it was definitely an adjustment, but I wouldn't change it for anything. I love my boys.
I agree with that. So I have 3 nieces. Lauren has 3 daughters, and then I have Sophia, but 3 boys. And like when we're together, or even whenever you just have the girls, it is a huge difference of how the girls just chill, and my boys, it's always like, "Oh my God, we bring the party." Like
everywhere we go, it's like, we're coming. I just want everybody to know we're coming. We're on our way. I hope everybody's prepared, because we're the loudest in the room. I did always think I'd get one quiet one. I knew I'd have maybe one loud one, but I thought I'd at least get one quiet one. But it didn't turn out that way. No.
Well, I don't see that at school, like but at school, I feel like our kids are different at school than they were at school. What are your dreams for your boys?
I want them to have. I had a great upbringing. I had great parents. I had who would do anything for me. But there were still some things. I think you always notice the things that maybe you didn't have that you hope that they have, or maybe things that you wish you could go back and change. That I hope that they don't have to do that. So I just want our preacher says at church to have a boring testimony. Like, some people feel like they have a boring testimony. I feel like my testimony is messy. And I wish I could change so much about it. And I just want so much for them to just have a boring testimony. I want them to enjoy living where we live and getting to play outside and knowing their friends and having both of their parents at home. I want them to try their best at school and know that no matter what, that we're going to love them and we're going to support them. And I want their little boring elementary and high school life to lead into a very simple college life, and I just want them to be good people. We do push them. I do care about their grades. I want them to do well and work hard, but more than anything, I just want them to be good kids and godly kids, and I want them to know how to be kind and how to treat others, and I want so that when they're grown men that they know how to treat people. So that's kind of a lot in one question.
No,
I want many things.
No, I love all of that, and I feel like you model that so well. So they have a good example in both you and Clancy. Do you have any favorite hobbies?
My hobby for myself is I like to run. It is most people who know me know that I'm a very high stress person. I second guess everything, overthink everything, I question everything. And so running for me is like my stress relief. So that's my number one. I'm a better person when I go running. I'm more relaxed and feel better. So I really love that. And then I am a homebody, so I like to wear my sweats and watch movies. Or
that's a really good hobby.
It's my favorite outside of running. They each have their own place, but I'm pretty boring. Those are really my only two. I'm like you. I like watching my kids play when they're involved and they enjoy what they're doing. But personal hobbies is definitely sitting on my couch in my spot with my sweats or running.
I wish I could relate to the running. I actually wanted to ask you that. I remember they had some type of challenge here a couple of years ago, and you participated. What was it? Like you had to run around town?
Yes, it was. I was with Miss Potter. It was me and Mariah. We were doing Lozano had a something. Was it a trick or treat run or it was Halloween. We were in costumes and she lifted and I ran. Yes, because I don't normally do public running. I like run on my own in private, and that was like the first time.
I was so impressed. I'm like you talked to me about eating well and exercising, and I said, "Tell me your secrets. How do you do it to stay so disciplined?"
I'm a boring routine person.
No. I'm like I need that discipline to. I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome you run, and I love the hobby of just hanging out too. I think it's a good balance. You can go for a run and get in your sweats and watch a movie.
That's right.
What does a normal weekend look like in the life of the Vanderbergs?
Most of the time, if it's a normal weekend and we don't have anything, normally on Saturdays, we'll sleep in till about 7-ish is usually my sleep-in time, and the boys are getting older, so they actually let me sleep until that time now, which is nice. But usually get up, I'll have coffee, like I always do, and then I usually go run, and then I clean house, and I try to have all of that done by noon, and then it's depending on the weather, or if there's sports, or on warm days, the boys like to be outside, so we'll go out there. Cold days, I'm at my spot on the couch. We built a barn several years ago, and some people think that we probably hang out there, and I don't really ever go out there. That's kind of for the boys. So I have my spot on the couch, and that's where I like to stay.
So hopefully you have several of those weekends coming up where y'all just have a lot of hangout time in the afternoon. What is the funniest thing that has happened to you lately?
There's so many embarrassing stories. Probably this year, I was so embarrassed. Like humiliated, embarrassed. I go, usually on Thursdays, I'll go to do grocery pickups. So in December, it was getting close to Christmas time. I did my usual, and I usually go get groceries, and then I go to the plaza to pick up dinner, and we do that almost every Thursday. And I was driving to the plaza, had my groceries, and it was winter time, so it's getting dark, and I noticed a police car, and he was shutting down one of the streets. So I'm thinking, oh my goodness, there's a wreck. And so I need to go down a side street. So I veer off thinking I'm dodging a wreck, and I go down this little side street, and I get back on the main street that goes, or I think it's called Main Street, that goes down the little shopping center, and it's the road that will take you to the plaza. Well, I turn onto the main road, and then I realize that the streets are packed with people. And like I said, it was December, and just like we have like a Christmas, I don't know what they call it, shop small Christmas. It was kind of burgers, but it was a big parade. And so I'm in my expedition, and I think I've turned and passed this wreck. Well, I've turned on the street, and there's no getting out. So I start driving. I'm starting to realize what I've gotten myself into. I start shaking my stomach. I'm just so sick. And people are like looking at me. Kids are excited, like running, thinking I'm going to throw candy, and like kids everywhere. So I'm having to drive super slow so everybody can see me. And then I realized, to make it worse, all the streets are blocked because everybody's in lawn chairs. And I'm the only one on the road. It's so bad. And then it gets worse because I find out that I'm actually driving the opposite way. So I'm driving this way, but the parade's going to come this way. So I'm mortified. I'm like telling kids to move out of the road. Nobody will move. I'm getting really excited looks like I have candy, and really mean looks like, what are you doing? And I have no clue. And I just keep thinking, surely I'm going to get to the end of this. Surely I'm going to get to the end. I'm going to finally get there. No, the parade starts at the plaza. So I had to go all the way down. And then I can't even get into the parking lot because there's so many cars. There's police everywhere. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get like some ticket. I don't know what I'd get a ticket for, but for going down the wrong street. And anyways, it was really embarrassing. It was humiliating because I pretty much was part of their parade, and I was just getting groceries.
Going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, it was humiliating. I'm sure I have several, but that was definitely
That is pretty funny.
It was funny.
Funny now.
Funny now. At the time, I wanted to cry, but now it's funny.
But no one ever, like, police, no one ever said anything? They were just like...
No, I'm sure they were like, okay, here we go. Here's your sign. But no, they left me alone.
That's a funny story. What are 2 things on your bucket list?
That's a hard one. I don't honestly know that I necessarily have a bucket list. There's not really, Clancy's more of the let's go, let's see. I'm pretty happy, and as long as everybody around me is happy. So anytime everybody can be happy and in a good place. So
that is a good indicator. That means you are content and thankful for the now. Because a lot of the times the bucket list means you're thinking of what's coming and what can I do or what's next. And to be living in the present and to being thankful for what you have now, that is a very good thing. So that's a good thing. All right, some closing questions. I'll have 2. One is one that I ask everyone. But before we get to that one is, what is something most people probably misunderstand about you?
it's a good one. Another hard one. Maybe I don't think people realize how hard I am on myself. I want to do better. So if I don't get something quite right, or like teaching, if a child doesn't perform the way I know that they can, I feel like I failed. Same as like running, anything I do, it doesn't matter what I do. And that may be why I don't like to do very much. I'm very hard on myself. So if I go on a run and it's not as fast as I think it should be, or if I answer a question and I don't feel like I answered it as well as I should, I'm really, really hard on myself. So I don't know if, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm not as good with saying my words. I'm better at writing my words. I'm not very good with my words, so I usually stay quiet because I don't want to insert my foot. So sometimes I think people might think that I'm unapproachable or I've heard intimidating. I don't see that. I don't know why anybody would think that. I don't feel that way. And maybe because I don't talk, but it's not that I don't care. I just, I'm always worried I'm going to say something that's going to offend somebody or say something and it be taken the wrong way. Or I ask a lot of questions because if I do something, I want to do it to my best. I have a lot of questions. And sometimes I feel like if I ask questions, then people think that I don't like them and it's not that, it's just how I am. And so, I think just knowing that if I'm not saying a lot, I am listening and I do care. I'm better at listening than speaking.
Well, you've done really good for not knowing these questions, and you've answered really well. And thank you for sharing that because it takes what's the word I'm looking for? You have to be I guess genuine, but you have to. Oh, there's another word I'm looking for. Why isn't it coming to me? Just honest and word I'm trying to think of, and it's not coming to me. But thank you for sharing that. Last question, last hard question, because then we have the rapid fire ones that there's not a lot of thinking to. But how do you want to be remembered? Megan always he tells me, you make people feel like they're gonna die next week. I'm like, no, I don't mean that. But in 100 years from now, how would you want people to remember?
I would want people to remember me as being kind and helpful. I hope that when I'm around people, I make them feel better about themselves, not worse. So I hope that I'd like to be a person that somebody could say, hey, she always made people feel better, or to be someone who, when you're around them, that just makes them feel better about themselves.
Well, you do have a gift. You are so thoughtful. I've told you that before. You just make people feel better. And not only with your words, but leaving a note or a chocolate or something, thinking about you. And you are extremely thoughtful. So you're doing an amazing job in wanting to be remembered that way. All right, done with the hard questions. Wrapping it up, you should not require a lot of thought. Here we go. Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Oh, I love Thanksgiving food. Would you rather vacation somewhere hot or somewhere cold?
Hot. I hate the cold.
You hate the cold. Are you a night out or an early bird?
Early bird.
Favorite place to shop?
TJ Maxx.
Ooh, I like TJ Maxx too. Favorite sport to watch on TV?
Football or basketball?
Are y'all Cowboys fans?
We are, but we like the Chiefs too.
Oh yeah, we've had this conversation. Moving on. Last show that you binge watched?
Last show. We just finished, is it 1883? 1983? I'm not good with numbers.
I know which one you're talking about, yes, but I don't know what.
And I wouldn't say binged, I don't guess, but we watched that. I actually never watched. I never liked series until COVID, and then there was nothing to watch. So then I finally got to see why everybody loved the little series so much. And so the last one we watched, I think, was
it's tied to Yellowstone or something like that. Yeah,
yes, it's that one.
Next vacation?
We're going to Branson.
Ooh, I would love to go to the Titanic. Isn't that where they have
They Yes, but I don't know if it's always there or if it's a temporary. I don't know. If it's there, I'd like to go. I know it was there. I've never been. Clancy went with his brothers and dad a few years ago.
I've heard it's still pretty there. Favorite color?
That's one thing that stresses me out. Like if they say a teacher's favorite thing, I don't have a favorite color.
Me neither.
And I might, like, some days I like blue and some days I like pink, but I also like really any color. I don't have one.
I can relate to that. Would you rather sing or would you rather dance?
Dance.
Favorite food?
Nachos and quesadillas.
You keep it simple.
I do.
You keep it simple. Ms. V, thank you so much for talking to me today. You are just beautiful. You are beautiful on the inside and you're beautiful on the outside. So thanks for just chatting with me. I have always admired how much pride you have in your work. I know you say that you're hard on yourself. I see it as you just want, if it has Chelsea Vanderberg's name on it, you want it to be the best. And so I've always admired that. You plant seeds that will grow a lifetime. And so, yay! Thanks for coming to talk to me today. Thank you so much for watching. I pray this week brings you so much joy and peace through all of life's chaos. Let's find the joy in the little things. We'll see you around, and don't forget that we love because He loved us first.